Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. In today's clip, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into the drone to phone application that was shown about a week ago by DJI. Now, I did post a clip on the channel a few days back explaining the application, where it came from, what it was intending to do, but there still seems to be a lot of confusion about the application in general. Now, just to do a level set, the application came from DJI. It's not a live application. It hasn't been published. They have no intention of publishing it. It was a proof of concept to show exactly what the FAA is asking for in their new proposal. And that proposal is the FAA-2019-1100. I have it below. So the application was really exhibiting the things that the FAA thinks they need to identify a pilot in the field. Now, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the NPRM either, and I've made my comments known to the FAA. But my strong suggestion is, if you saw that video, and what they're exhibiting in that application worries you, go over to the FAA site. There's a link below where you can both read that NPRM, and there's a link below to go to the website to comment, and let them know that you're upset about the proposal as it stands today, because the only way that's going to get changed is enough of us head over to that site and let our comments be known. I promise you they're going to read those, and the body of conversation is going to carry the day. So if you want to roll those back a little bit so it's not as onerous and invasive as a lot of us feel, definitely go to the FAA site. But I thought, rather than me sitting down trying to put a clip together and explaining it again, I would head over to DJI and sit down with some of the folks that worked on that application that really understand where the FAA is heading with this proposal. So I've got two interviews coming up. The first one today is with Adam Lisberg. He's the corporate director of communications for DJI, and he's going to talk specifically about the drone to phone application. In the next day or two, I've also got a second clip where I did an interview with Brendan Schulman, who's the vice president of policy and legal affairs for DJI, and he's going to get into the NPRM specifically and how much work DJI has done to really advocate for the hobbyists out there that are flying drones. So both of those are going to be really good interviews to catch. Today I'm going to do the Adam Lisberg interview, and I'm hoping you're listening closely to this, because this proposal from the FAA dramatically changes the way we fly. And I'm upset about a lot of provisions in it, and I'm working on a few more clips that'll help you do some things after the proposal period closes for comments, but you have 5 days left. So please, when you're watching this video, stop the video right now, go down there, hit the link, go over to the FAA site and make your comments known, because it really is important. I think there's 20,000 plus comments over there right now. So let's get it up to 50,000 if we can. Anyway, stay tuned for the interview, and stay tuned to the channel, because I'll have that second interview coming up probably tomorrow or the next day at the latest. So thanks for watching, and please comment to the FAA. Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. Today we're at DJI, and I'm talking to Adam Lisberg, corporate director of communications for DJI, and we're here to talk about the drone to phone application that a lot of you have seen on the internet. I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there. I tried to answer most of them, but I thought, let me go to the source. You guys built the application, and I've got a lot of questions from viewers that I thought I'd ask you. So the first question is, why did you build the application? Where did that come from?
Sure. We built this because remote ID is coming. And I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come in here and talk about this, because I know there's a lot of confusion, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about this.
Sure.
So remote ID is coming, not just in the US, but in Europe, in the UK, all over the world. And it makes sense, because the authorities want to be able to understand what a drone is doing in the air. It's sort of a basic thing. There are hardcore people who says nobody has any right to know anything about what I'm flying as long as I'm not doing anything wrong.
Sure.
In practice, that's not going to fly.
Right.
And we think it's a legitimate request for aviation, people who guard airports, for prison guards, for police departments to be able to answer. Who owns that drone? What is it doing up there? Let's be able to respond to legitimate queries about this.
Okay.
So the big question that you've seen, in the debate over the NPRM is, should drones identify themselves by dialing into a cellular network and putting their location and their pilot information and all that into some nationwide database that can be queried by everybody else,
right,
which may be appropriate in some circumstances, or should it be a simpler system that simply broadcasts a signal from the drone to any receiver within range, and that receiver can look and say, oh, that drone up in the sky there, that has the serial number, this is the path that it's been flying, and other associated information like that.
All right, so I think where the confusion starts out there is that you guys didn't come up with this on your own. You didn't decide, hey, we're going to build some kind of identification system for drones so people can sort of sniff out everybody that's flying. This came from the NPRM, which is the FAA 2019-1100, which everybody's reading through, 319 wonderful pages of complicated wording. But in there, they talk specifically about having the ability to identify a drone, and in some cases where that drone's violating airspace or there may be some
concerns about it to identify where the pilot's standing. So all this application does, essentially, it's a proof of concept to show a simple way of identifying the drone and, if need be, identifying where the pilot's standing. Right? Yeah. It's not something DJI came up with on their own.
Well, remember that the NPRM is the culmination of literally years of discussion about how to go. It was 2 years ago that the FAA had chartered a drone advisory committee to study remote ID issues. There are so many complicated questions about who should have access to the data, what kind of data should be transmitted, how should it be stored, can you charge for that data, what's the best method of transmitting it at a technical level or a theoretical level. Right. There are an awful lot of discussions, and you have perspectives from security agencies, from regulators, from the companies that make drones, from the people who fly drones, from people who build their own drones and would have to add something on. It's not necessarily baked into what they would buy off the shelf.
Right.
So these kinds of discussions were all part of the DAC discussions for a long year, 2 years ago.
Yep.
And even that creation was presaged from years earlier.
Right.
So there have been a lot of discussions about how remote ID should be accomplished. And that's something that DJI incorporated into our Aeroscope system. Remember, this is a remote ID system that is proprietary to DJI equipment that we first launched a couple of years ago that is working right now at airports, prisons, stadiums, locations like that. People who have legitimately done something very wrong with drones have been arrested and prosecuted.
Good for them. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be done with a drone, you should pay the consequences.
People who intentionally do clearly illegal things should face the consequences.
Right.
So, what we've seen is that by introducing Aeroscope, that critical locations like this are much more receptive to the idea that drones are in the sky and drones are part of modern life.
Right.
Some of the pushback that the FAA has gotten over the years is from security agencies who say, we will not let you routinely authorize flights at night, flight over people, flight beyond line of sight, unless we have an easy and effective way to be able to identify what's that drone coming into the sky.
Sure.
So
I certainly understand that, and I think we're at a kind of a dangerous pivot point for the industry, right? Because I don't want to sound too dramatic with this, but we're at a point now where if the FAA puts this proposal through into law, the way the NPRM is written is we're not only going to have to broadcast that digital license plate, but you're going to have to physically connect, or virtually connect to an internet over a high-speed connection. That information, not only your flight characteristics, but where you flew, where you were standing when you flew, how long you flew, all the details about your flight are going to be uploaded to some database somewhere in the cloud, and it's there for analysis for 6 months minimum, who knows how long. That part of it scares the bejesus out of me, to be honest with you. So I think what I'm looking at with the drone and phone, and the reason I came out with the first clip is I think what you've done with that application is built a really simple technology that is already built into the drones. It runs on Wi-Fi, that's a topology connection, and anybody with a phone that has the right to see that data will see it. And I'll talk a little bit later about the public seeing it, because that's kind of a queasy place. But I think in general, you're getting beat up a lot because people are upset about the NPRM. And you didn't invent the NPRM. I know you were involved with that. I know that you had team members as one of the 74 that were on the ARC committee that came up with, I thought, were pretty sensible rules. And unfortunately, the FAA completely balled that up and threw it out, started from scratch.
Yes. Thank you for correcting me by that. It was the ARC, not the DAC.
No, it's okay. No. It's all right. Yeah, we got a lot of acronyms, that's for sure. But and I'll talk about the ARC a little bit later. But I think what I'm trying to get across is people are viewing this, they've viewed your video, and they're viewing the video going, what's DJI doing? Well, this application seems so intrusive and so, onerous to me. Why are they doing this?
And the answer is, as you said, we want to demonstrate that there is another way besides simply an internet-connected database where all of your flight records will be stored for all time. The idea is, if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not flying in a congested area, if you're not flying in controlled airspace, if nobody calls the cops on you, if you're not bothering anybody, why do you have to transmit that record of your flight in real time, especially if you're in an area with bad connectivity? So this is and again, there are plenty of circumstances where a network real-time system does make sense.
I would agree.
That we're taping this right now in New York City. There are a lot of places in New York City where even if you're an authorized, permitted drone pilot and flying,
I would wonder for insurance purposes. Like they're doing inspections of fascia on buildings and stuff. I'm sure the insurance companies are going to say we want a record of that flight from takeoff to landing. Makes perfect sense. But for the average hobbyist, the guys that watch this channel for the most part, having that onerous got to connect to a network, because they're flying in remote areas in Idaho and out in the middle of the Dakotas, it just seems too much.
Yes, I don't want to get too much into the minutiae of the NPRM right now, but our attitude generally is Network has its place. Broadcast, which is simpler, certainly cheaper for the drone operators, and has a lot of other benefits, is also a very relevant technology. The NPRM should allow either of those technologies.
Whatever's appropriate for that particular flight. Okay.
So the point of creating this demonstration app, which again has never been released in the wild.
Right. I was going to ask you that. So it's not out there. No one can use it.
We developed it ourselves.
Proof of concept.
Yes, as a proof of concept to show that when we say that a broadcast remote ID system could work, could display all the relevant required information on a handheld device, it works.
Right.
When we demonstrate it in Montreal, that's what was really happening there.
Okay.
The drone went up in the air, was broadcasting over a Wi-Fi aware signal to the handheld phone. We had several phones that we were passing around that were all running this app. And again, it's an off-the-shelf drone with a simple custom firmware update, off-the-shelf phone with a custom app we wrote for it, and it works.
Gotcha. And what I like about that, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm flying. I don't want my neighbor's ID in a drone and come looking for me. But I'm trying to put my shoe on the other foot and think, if I'm in my backyard and I'm enjoying an afternoon with my family out at the pool, and this dark drone is hovering over my pool for 20 minutes at 6 o'clock every afternoon, I kind of want to know who's doing that, so I could either go talk to him or I could report him to the police if it's got to be an onerous thing. So having that ID, for me, in the drone-to-phone application, and it's going to get awkward here, but I'm not comfortable having the public know where that drone operator is standing. What I'm comfortable with is if I can read the remote ID, just like a digital license plate, and I decide I have to call the police to get involved, I can give them that remote ID. They then, there's a wall between that information and what's public. They can then investigate, find out who owns the drone, who's flying it, and go have a conversation with them.
What you're describing is exactly the digital license plate concept.
Okay.
It's a great way of thinking how remote ID works.
Right.
If a car does something that you think is illegal or cuts you off, whatever.
Right. I'm not going to chase the guy to his house and have a conversation with him.
Well, you have no way from looking at the car figuring out what his address is.
That's right.
But there's numbers and letters written on the front and back of the car that you can then take to the police. That this guy did this to me. And
they hand it to them and they take care of everything. That's their job, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be as a citizen chasing people down.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great.
Yeah, and that's a great example of how, over time, society has decided to divvy up what's, in the various costs and benefits of making information available. That only the police should be able to track down your home address and your name based on your license plate, but anybody ought to be able to see the license plate.
Right. If I'm doing something dumb and they can read the remote ID, then they can report me being dumb to somebody else that'll handle it. The technology side of it, I think, is something else that's lost in this conversation. I think this is a really important point. Right now, the drones that are in the air from DJI broadcast over a Wi-Fi topology, the Rocket Sync or Lightbridge. Buried in that transmission, on your latest applications on DJI Go 4, you can put information in there that IDs the drone. I can even put a little bit of script in there saying, hey, I'm doing a house. If somebody reads that information on Aeroscope, they know, okay, Rick's, here's his ID, here's the FAA number, and he's filming a house near an airport, and I've got permission to do that. That's already built in, right? So all your drones today are compliant if you go with this Wi-Fi drone to phone. That technology, if it goes the way the FAA is suggesting, may end up being very expensive because you may have to transmit at a different frequency, which requires more hardware, less battery. It's just a nightmare, which means all the drones that are out today essentially could be obsolete if that technology goes that direction. And I'm trying to champion your solution.
Right, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead in discussing a technological solution because there are so many compatibilities that we'd have to check out, so many different possibilities. Would you be able to connect to the internet using the phone attached to the controller rather than connecting from the drone? Perhaps that would certainly make things easier.
Gotcha.
But that's still extra data costs.
Sure, absolutely, and it's a new generation of product, right? Yeah. And that's the challenge with a lot of people, because I have people asking me all the time, I love this hobby, I'm just looking to upgrade. Rumor has it DJI's got something coming. I won't ask you about that, but I'm sure you do down the road.
Rest assured, we always have something coming. You can sit down with a cell phone company, with a computer maker, with a TV company. There's always something
There's
coming.
Something amazing about the launch.
But do you want to wait 6 months for that, or do you want to have the next 6 months to be able to fly the drone you have?
And that's my attitude, is that every day there's the sun shining, I'm out in the field flying. And the difference between what's out there today and what may be coming is just, to me, not a big enough delta to wait for it, right? So I want to fly. So get out there and fly today. But the good news is, if this drone phone application over Wi-Fi becomes real and it becomes something they're going to use, or some similar analogy to that, they can use the drones they've got today with minor modifications in the firmware that already broadcast information. So it's free tech, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, and we think that one of the reasons I keep saying that we're not going to get too far into the NPR.
But one of the reasons I can't help it.
It's interesting, and it's none of these questions are easy. Don't get me wrong. We definitely have our perspective, but on so many factors involving NPRM, broadcast versus network, pilot location, there are good arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
And, that's why it's great to have a consensus-based process.
Sure.
To get both sides, and why it's so important for everyone to comment to make their voices heard.
And compromise, too. That's the key. Because when you get a room, the temperature's not right for everybody, right? Somebody's too cold, too hot. You get a million people with opinions, you'll never get it settled. So you try.
Yeah. So, but what I think is really valuable in this exercise is showing how the different expectations that people bring to what should a drone be transmitting, where should a drone have that kind of who should have access to what kind of information, because there are different expectations of what that's bringing them. It is also going to be shaped by societal expectations. Right now, everyone watching this is a drone pilot, right?
Yeah, pretty
the general
much,
public,
right.
Everyone probably knows someone who has a drone, or they've seen a drone, and they know a brother-in-law got a drone.
Right.
But people aren't really used to seeing them all the time.
Right.
And so, your example of a family sitting in the backyard seeing a drone overhead all the time. Right now, that's going to be concerning.
Yeah.
10 years from now, it might be perfectly routine. 10 years from now, if there are delivery drones going back and forth and unmanned craft, routinely doing street surveys or things like that fully autonomously, it will be a lot less worrisome. Right now, everyone has seen examples of someone who gets the cops called on them because they were flying a drone and taking a picture of the sunset. And
Somebody's upset with
windows,
it.
right? Yeah, their house. Those kinds of cases, hopefully, there's more societal things. So, what I'm getting to is that some of these rules need to anticipate how that's going to be changing over time, and how it will be routine to see a drone, and hopefully it'll be routine the expectation that if there's one really causing a problem, there's something you can do about it.
All right, and I guess one of the last comments I'll make, and I'm going to sound like a huge DJI fanboy, I get accused of that all the time, but I fly everybody's drone, you guys know that. What I love about this company, and it's the fact that you guys are ahead of the curve anticipating where things can get weird. And you were the first with NFZs, which kept pilots out of dangerous, sensitive areas. A lot of people complain, I don't want to have NFZs on my drone. They're protecting you from kind of wandering through that invisible line in the sky onto a military base's protected area. I think that's a good thing. And I think the drone phone application, I work with all the manufacturers. No one else is touching this. No one else is going close to this. So DJI stepping out, you're taking a lot of arrows based on this, right? Because you're trying to get ahead of it and show them what's available today.
Yeah, and again, it's the expectation that there are real concerns out there that need to be addressed. The Wild West drone days are years over.
I know.
We still get complaints from people who don't think that anyone should geofence their drones. They should be the ones ultimately able to decide. And I understand that theoretical perspective,
right?
But it's practical.
But it protects me from inadvertently flying someplace I shouldn't fly. You can't tell. I use applications to know where I'm standing, and I know roughly when I'm near. But if I put it up in the air and go 600 feet this direction, I might be violating a military base's outer edge. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I like that it warns me.
Yeah. So to be able to have that kind of understanding. As a practical matter, we believe in a rules-based system for drones that nobody.
Let's be responsible. That's all. We're responsible flyers.
Yeah.
So a couple last questions. I want to get these in. The technology you've got in the drone phone application. Some people out there are wondering, is it proprietary? You're trying to get first to market and then charge everybody a fortune. I'm sure with minor modifications based on Wi-Fi topology, which everybody's using, they probably can tweak the application with off-the-shelf APIs and other software to make it work with their drones.
Yeah, we've developed it,
right?
So it's by definition proprietary now. But our intention is that this is demonstrating that this is something that could be workable for all.
Could be a solution for everybody.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good. And there are other drone manufacturers that are testing out different kinds of protocols.
I've seen a few.
What could work. Yeah. So, this is.
You're not the only one, by the way. I should probably brought up in the beginning is that there's probably 3 or 4 other applications that do this already.
Yeah.
I've seen Flight Time and a few people working with other organizations putting that together.
Yeah. And, again, this work has been going on for years. ASTM International, they've just completed work on a very comprehensive standard.
I've read it. It was massive and put me to sleep. I mean, it's good detail, but it's not something you can consume.
Exactly. But that's the level that you need to be able to make this a globally enforceable standard.
Right.
Which is what you need to be able to move forward.
Good.
So there are multiple approaches to this. And again, we built this app as a proof of concept to show that you don't need to have everybody connected to a network all the time to get all the benefits of remote ID for drones.
Okay, good. All right, so a couple of points I want to make at the end so we don't miss these. The application was developed to show you what was happening in the proposal from the FAA. You guys didn't invent it. You put it together basically to exhibit a simple way of adhering to what we're looking at today as the entire proposal. It wasn't something you're putting out there as like promoting it. DJI built this is the way it should be. You're just exhibiting what the NPRM is asking for. There's nothing proprietary in the application. It's not been released to the public yet. We have no intention of releasing it to the public until this law passes from the FAA's perspective and they mandate that there should be some kind of solution like this. The last thing I'll say to you, and I know it sounds like, again, here comes the DJI fanboy, but I have to applaud you for meeting today. Because you're taking a lot of grief on the internet for this, and people are upset about it, and they're blaming you, I think mostly because of the anger they've got over the proposal, because it is pretty shocking. So it was pretty brave of you. You could have said to me, nope, we're not talking to anybody. But
no, look, we have nothing to hide here.
No, I know. That speaks volumes. It really does.
Well, thank you. I mean, we very often think of ourselves as the de facto voice for most drone flyers.
Right.
You know, we are the largest manufacturer of drones.
Yeah.
And people who use our drones in professional contexts, they can often advocate through professional organizations and things like that. People who fly for fun, they enjoy it, they're not hurting anybody, they're not breaking any laws, they're having a great time.
Yeah.
Who else is out there speaking out for them?
Right.
So we sort of take it upon ourselves to be their voice in a context like this. And we know that for people who fly for fun or who want to give a drone as a gift for fun, the prospect of monthly fees to be able to connect to a required network remote ID system is really discouraging.
It is. Yeah, it's going to shut it down. So you're a flyer, I'm a flyer, we're out flying all the time. Again, I'd encourage you guys, there's nothing better than this hobby to get out on a sunny Saturday afternoon with the family, get the kids out there flying. It just changes your perspective. So don't hold back. If you're going to be looking at a drone, spring's coming, buy one you can afford. If it's a DJI drone, great, but if you want to buy something else too, sorry.
Competition makes everybody stronger.
Just get out there and fly. Just have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Really good.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Bye now.